Welcome friends to the 2023 Mazda CX-30. This is the Turbo Premium Plus, and this is going to be a quick review. Let's start out with what's new for 2023. There's one change, and this is a pretty important change, and this is in regards to the base non-turbocharged four-cylinder engines. We get a power bump from 186 horsepower to now 191 horsepower. That does not seem like a lot because it isn't, but the point is Mazda has been tinkering with the engine to produce some enhancements. But the other benefit to them retweaking and retuning the engine is we actually see a 2 mpg gain both in the city and the highway. That base four-cylinder now gets 26 mpg in the city and 33 mpg out on the highway. In the past, I would almost always recommend that base four-cylinder to most families. One, because of the price, and two, for the fuel economy, and because I've actually driven that engine before in the CX-5 and in the CX-30 in the past, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fine for everyday street driving. All right, that's the only change for 2023. There's nothing else really new here. One of the things I did like was from 2022, they made all-wheel drive standard in both the CX-30 and the CX-5, and that obviously continues here. We have here the turbocharged four-cylinder engine. Don't get me wrong, this is fantastic. I love it, but there is a huge price jump to be able to get this engine. This makes 250 horsepower, 320 pounds-feet of torque. With premium fuel, you can put 87 octane in it, but it will produce a little bit less horsepower and torque. But this engine is truly just a luxury, really. It's not, I mean, yes, it's very quick. There's no denying that. I mean, we are doing a rapid speed for sure. But once again, it's more of a luxurious experience, and I'm going to cover this more throughout this drive here because this car is extremely quiet. It rides decently. It's going to do everything that I want it to do. It even manages the torque steer extremely well. One, because it's all-wheel drive, but these Mazdas are capable of doing a lot, is the point. You can drive them hard and it'll cope. It's not a sports car or anything. I'm not saying that this is like a Porsche GT3, but the point is, in the real world, this handles extremely well. Very stable out on the highway, stable in the rain, all that good stuff. But there's just a softness to everything about this car. Okay, just because this car can handle well, that doesn't mean that this rewards you for driving it in that manner, if that makes sense. Like, this car doesn't promote that type of driving. This 6-speed automatic transmission, I've praised this multiple times in pretty much all of my Mazda reviews. You can put this thing into the manual mode, put it into sport, and you can start playing with these paddle shifters. And it's very quick in the way that it responds. It's a very useful manual feature. It just has, once again, a softness built into it. It's not like a crispy type of downshift or upshifting. It's very soft. I don't know if you picked that up on the camera, but there's just a subtle dullness, a softness to the shifts, which is fine. It's there by design. It's there for a reason. It's to not shock the occupants inside, okay? There's no gear shock or anything of that sort. It's so refined, it's so smooth, and that's what I appreciate. Again, it does what you need it to do. It's shifting really well, both in the manual mode and in the automatic mode. It really doesn't matter. The car does a fantastic job. I will say, in most Mazda products, the brakes seem to be a little bit on the spongy side. Once again, it's trying to not throw your occupants through the front windshield when you're on the brakes. That's the main point. It's going for that ultra smooth experience, and it's these characteristics that make Mazda just a car that hits way above its weight class. Okay, that's why I'm saying you can save money, go with the base four-cylinder, but nobody can blame you for going with one of these top trim level turbocharged Mazdas, because it really is a luxury car without the luxury badge. And that's the main takeaway with a lot of these vehicles. I know a lot of people they look at the spec sheets and they're like, oh my gosh, that's so much power with that turbo engine, 250 horses, 320 pounds-feet of torque. That's literally more torque than an E92 BMW M3, right? Very powerful engine, very quick, but it just doesn't promote that hard driving. And that's what I'm trying to convey to you. I just recently tested a Acura Integra. Now these Honda Acura products, they have an edge to it. They make you want to drive the cars harder. This doesn't do that. This is a fantastic cruiser. You won't believe how quiet this car is. The CX-5 came with double pane glass. This does not, but it's still equally quiet to the CX-5. Very impressive. But I've covered this in great detail in literally the 10 other CX-30 reviews that I've done. I think you get the point. Everybody knows these cars perform extremely well. Every journalist, they rant and rave about it. We all love these products. They're great. They hit above its weight class. Fantastic. Let's cover the interior space and then we can conclude. Once again, this is another huge highlight to most Mazdas. Feels very upscale in here, and not just because this is the fully loaded model. Even if you got the lower end trims, cloth seats, things like that, that's fine because the layout is going to be the same. The solidity is going to be good. The attention to detail is going to be fantastic with every Mazda product, no matter what trim level that you go with. Part of the reason for that is because I really like the physical controls that's separated from the infotainment screen for the climate and heated seats, heated steering wheel, etc. I like how all that is separate. Infotainment, super easy to use, but I will say, even though this car has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, it does not come with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is a con for me. Every new car, it should just come with it wireless, Once again, we're featuring the fully loaded Premium Plus model. So we got these fantastic white leather seats. They look great, they're comfortable. Once again, all the ergonomics and comfort, that's great with these Mazdas. Some people said that these Mazda seats are too firm. I don't know what they're talking about. These are extremely soft. I don't have a problem with that. Even on a longer trip, these are one of the better seats I've ever been in. Even the lower back support is pretty good, the lumbar. We have here the Bose audio system, which is fantastic, sounds amazing. I certainly recommend it, but the problem is, a lot of car companies are doing this, by the way. If you want the nice audio systems, they really make you pay up for that, and they want you to get high-end trim levels, and that's the problem here. To get this Bose audio, you have to get the Turbo Premium model, and that's a significant jump up in price compared to the models that I typically recommend. If you wanted a CX-30, which would be like a select model, which is like $26,000 to $28,000 with destination, etc. So to get this Bose audio, you're at $33,000, $34,000 to get that Turbo Premium, and this Turbo Premium Plus is even more money. And the Premium Plus, this fully loaded model, what it mainly gives you is a couple other features like the 360 camera, which is nice but not super necessary. If you wanted a turbo version of this Mazda, I would get the regular premium model. I think that would be perfectly fine. Enjoy the Bose audio system. But I'm actually going to talk more about that towards the conclusion segment, where I'm going to cover the financing of this vehicle as well. We do have here some piano black plastic material. Not a huge fan of that, but once again, a lot of car companies do put that into their interior spaces. I do like the brown, the black, and the white. That three-tone interior effect really gives it that premium vibe, if you will. So that's what I'm saying. If you have the money, I don't blame anyone for going with one of these fully loaded turbo models. It really is a fine place to spend time in. You do get some excellent features, but you're better off leasing these turbo models, and you're better off financing or paying cash for the regular 4-cylinder models. Once again, I'll save that for the end. Armrest space is decent, but the glove box isn't super massive. Headroom and legroom in the front is fine, but in the rear, that's where the cons start to kick in with the CX-30. It's a very constricted rear seating space. There's not even that much headroom in here for taller passengers in the rear. So that's a bit of a con. The importance of the rear occupants need to be pretty low for you to consider the CX-30. Like, this is a fine product. I enjoy driving this, but I do recall from my previous CX-30 reviews, people were defending this to the grave, mostly owners that already bought the car, so they don't have a choice. They have to defend it now. But they were saying things like, oh, I live in a place that has gravel roads, or I have an incline in my driveway and things like that. So, you know, they're really trying to defend it. Whatever. It's a good product, but the rear seating space isn't the best. This is why I recommend to most families to just pay a couple $1,000s more and get the CX-5. That's a significantly more practical vehicle, not just in legroom, headroom, things of that nature, but also with the trunk space. It's going to be significantly larger than the CX-30. So comment below if you're an owner of the CX-30, preferably if you're not an owner of a CX-30, actually. Just from normal people, I want to hear from your perspective. Why would you choose a CX-30 over a CX-5? I keep recommending the CX-5 all the time because I like the size and the price point isn't too bad. I know starting price, the CX-5 is like $4,000 more than a CX-30, but the CX-5 comes with more features as well. You get things like the blind spot monitoring and the rear cross traffic alert as standard. With the CX-30, you have to step up one trim level to get blind spot and rear cross. Those safety features are not standard, so you have to go up like 2 trim levels in order to be equivalent to a CX-5 that's 1 trim level above. Like, does that make sense? You can go and look at it on the Mazda website, see which options and trims make the most sense for you and your family and what you value. You know, some people, they really have a great importance for the sunroof. I personally don't. Everyone is different, so that's something you have to play with. But me personally, I think going 1 trim level up with the CX-5, paying around $30,000, I think that's phenomenal. You're getting all-wheel drive as standard. You're getting plenty of fantastic safety features with the CX-5, and it's going to be noticeably larger than the CX-30. But one thing that's universal with all Mazda products, they are all like IIHS top safety pick plus models. The CX-30, no exception. This is a super safe car in a crash, but I will say one of the cons with these Mazda cars is the doors, they don't feel that great. They have like this tinny sound to them when you open and close the doors. The rest of the interior feels very solid and well made, but it's just the doors when you open and close them here. It has like that tinny sound, and I've noticed that with a lot of cars in this segment, but Nissan and Volkswagen, they have like the best door quality I've noticed. Regardless of that, this is a great place to spend time. I enjoy these Mazda products, and it's easier to get in and out of this vehicle because of the higher ride height. So with that, let's go ahead and let's head into the conclusion segment where we can wrap everything up and I'll talk about the financing. Okay, as I mentioned before, this is just a quick review. If you want to see my detailed thoughts, you can watch my 2022 and my 2021 reviews of the CX-30. Overall, I think most of you already know by now. I like Mazdas. Most journalists do like Mazdas. You're not going wrong with these products. Most people purchasing these are, you know, families, right? So I want to help out the families here. I recommend to most people just go with the regular 4-cylinder models of the CX-30 and the CX-5 for reliability reasons as well. I feel like you can kind of keep that car outside of the warranty period. Obviously, electronics is what's running most of these cars nowadays, so that's why I personally just lease and dump cars. And fortunately, Mazda is a good car to lease. If you want these turbo models of either this vehicle or the CX-5 or even the CX-9, you can lease them, and I think the payments are around $500 a month for a turbo version of these Mazdas. The interest rates on a Mazda lease, it's less than 1%. Pretty much every payment that you make, it's going all to the equity of the vehicle, if that makes sense. So I think that's fantastic. If you want to enjoy all of the fine premium amenities that Mazda has to offer, the engine, the features, then leasing a turbo model makes a lot of sense. That's pretty fantastic and pretty affordable as well. But if you're too scared of that, if you don't know anything about leasing, forget it. Just finance or pay cash for one of the lower trim level versions of either a CX-5 or a CX-30, and you should be pretty happy with that. One of the differences, if you want to know, with CX-30 and CX-5, this drives a little bit better. This is a tad bit sharper, if that matters to you. Once again, as I mentioned before, hot-blooded driving is not the point of a Mazda. But the other benefit is because the CX-30 is a little bit smaller and lighter, it gets a tad bit better fuel economy than something like a CX-5. Even with this turbo model, even with me driving a little bit more aggressively in the city, I'm getting 20 to 21 mpg, which is not bad for an engine that's this powerful. And once again, the mpg goes up even more when you go with that regular 4-cylinder. So that's why that vehicle makes so much sense to me. But comment below your thoughts on CX-30 versus CX-5. You know where I stand. And of course, I don't recommend paying MSRP. Definitely try to negotiate between 8 to 10% off MSRP when you're shopping in your area. If you can't find a dealership that'll do that, shop outside of your area. You know, buy the vehicle out of state if you have to, right? Do what you have to do. but don't pay over MSRP. But it's a great vehicle. You'll be super satisfied with it. That's it for my review. Thanks again for watching. My next video will be on the end screen here. Click on it and I will see you there.